didn't get as good a start as he wanted to, but Frankie Frederick certainly came flying. So did Devonish. And as they come off the bend on the inside, it is Obikwelu leading the way. A very upright running style on the outside. Marcin Urbis of Poland is moving well. Frankie Fredericks is there, and so is...
A win of plus 1.7, so very, very good conditions, and a superb run by Obikwelu of Nigeria.
He can hardly believe the time as he looks at the scoreboard and sees 19.84. He quickly glances down the track to see what the wind conditions were. This has been an outstanding run by Obikwelu of Nigeria, a former world junior 100, 200-meter champion.
Since I was a child, I was disciplined from my parents. They taught me how to be disciplined. I came from a very poor family, but I knew that I'm going to be famous right from the time I was 5 years old. I always told my mom that I'm going to be famous.
Could you tell us actually about your Nigerian parents and your...
Oh, my Nigerian parents, I can tell you everything about it. So I remember when I was a kid, and sometimes we don't have food at home. I remember perfectly. We cry, my mom cried, you know, but I was strong in my head. You know, I was a bad boy. I was a crazy boy in school. So, you know, my mom would think I'm going to go crazy. You know, sometimes she said, I don't know, you're not my son. I said, yes, I am. But I know what up there, I know that I know what I want. You know, they couldn't pay for my school fees, so I went to Imo State. I was selling bread on the street in BC Road, running, and that's what I was doing. And then in the evening, I go to train in the Imo State Sports Council. And that's what I'm doing. And then every once in a month, I go and help my mom in the village, you know, cultivate the cassava, and so that I can fry the garri for her, because I know how to do that. Cooking is nothing for me. I love cooking. So, and then I remember start training in the Imo State Sports Council. Everything was going well. I was running 400, and we're supposed to go to the first classic in Ibadan or Bauchi or something. I think Bauchi. They said they don't have money. They can't sponsor us. So my little brother gave me some transport money. With my friends, we arrived in Onitsha, and we lost the bus. So we slept outside. We slept in the bus stop. And the morning we get the first bus to Bauchi. We get to Bauchi. I remember we slept in a prostitute hotel. We paid for ourselves and we slept there. And I went to the competition, came in late, and I was the last race. That was 400, the 400 meters. And there was nobody in the lane 8. I started crying. I started begging the Yusuf Ali, please, can you put me in lane 8? He said, no, you're not registered. I said, please. I was begging, I'm begging. He looked at me and said, wow, I've never seen anybody like you. He said, okay, just go to the lane 8 and run. And I beat everybody. I ran 48. And that's what they brought me to national camp in Classic. Then I started running fast. You know, when this is going to happen, it's going to happen. When your day is going to come, nothing's going to stop it. This is a story. You know, so I went to National Stadium and I started training. I was training very hard. You know, I know everything about what happened to what they did to me in Federation. I remember in the trials, Moby trials, 94, I think 94, yes, Moby trial. I think we had, I think it was Edmonton Commonwealth Games. The same year, 94, yes, it was 94. I made a team because it's supposed to be fake 6 to be selected. That's Wule and the 3 people running the flat. So I got 6. I was in inland 1. It was amazing. I was in lane 1. I got 6th position. I was disqualified. And I asked, well, why I was disqualified? He said, some guy said that I ran from lane 1 to lane 8 and finished lane 1. I was like, what? How can I cross lane 1, go to lane 8 and finish in lane 1? That's impossible. So they disqualified me. So I remember, what's his name? He was in Delta State. He was a coach, and he became a minister or something. Brown, Coach Brown, and I ran 46 something as a junior. And Coach Brown was laughing. He said, "How can this boy run from lane 1. He was in lane 1, cross the whole people, go to lane 8, and go back to lane 1 and run for the 6. He's a talent. So imagine he can run straight. So why don't you pick him? Imagine he can run straight, he can run 45. You know, so what they did was, for me not to go for Commonwealth, they compensated me, putting me in a World Junior, 94, coming to Portugal. And that's how I was selected to go to Portugal, in the World Junior.
That's a great story.
Yes. So I came to Portugal.
Green, Cloudnine da Silva had a personal best of 20.13. Semi-final number 2, Canada's Glenn Smith is running in lane 2. Patrick Stevens will not
Amazing
start.
story.
He
Amazing story from Francis Obikwelu. Well, Bambo actually put all of that together, and Bambo, fantastic story from Francis Obikwelu. I mean, you spoke to him, and this must surely be one of the stories that would define what athletics is at the moment.
Certainly. We spent a day with Francis in Portugal last year, and that's when we got that story from him. And it was just so fascinating. We just kept recording and recording, and there's so much. A lot of his story appears in the film, Making of Champions, the history, but this doesn't even appear in the film, and there's so much more, which I hope to show you further down the line. His story is pretty fantastic, pretty amazing.
We'll come back to Francis later on, but let's talk about some of the things you've been putting together. Last week we talked about it. There was public viewing of the film you put together on Nigerian athletics.
Yes.
What was it like? What was the experience like?
The film showed at the IREP Documentary Film Festival at Freedom Park. And,
in Lagos, yeah?
In Lagos, yes. And so it's the first public viewing I've done. I've done a lot of private viewings, but this was the first time it showed to a public audience. And it was fascinating, you know. I think when I talk about athletics, the first reaction I get before people have seen the film is, Nigeria, do we have athletics in Nigeria? But after they've seen the film, there's this excitement, you know, it's the history of our athletics. You know, you see stories like Francis Obikwelu's story, like Gloria Lotzi, and then you see how much potential we had before. And, you know, so the film tries to, I would say, ginger people into, like, you know, let's do something about this. Let's get back to where we used to be.
The researches you've done, Bambo, I mean, speaking to Francis, who, I mean, was discovered, you had the story, he was running barefoot in Imo State, and then somehow he was able to make it, ran for Nigeria, broke all records, won a lot of medals, and eventually dumped us, went to Portugal. Were we the ones that dumped him? Anyway, somebody dumped someone at some stage. And you must have done a lot of, I mean, findings around Gloria Alozia as well.
Yes.
Ran for Nigeria, left us, went to Spain, and suddenly their careers received such a lift.
Yes, yes.
That must be some amazing discoveries for you as well. Why exactly is it that trend? You run for Nigeria, can't run beyond a certain limit, you leave Nigeria, go somewhere else, and then you just hit the roof.
I think they did not feel, I would say, loved and appreciated. You know, when they went to those other countries, they were treated like celebrities in a way that we treat our footballers here. But I don't think they got that care and attention in Nigeria. And when, you know, Francis got injured, I think, in the Sydney Olympics, and he felt he didn't get a lot of assistance in coming back. And that moment, in fact, him and Glory, they had both been living in Portugal and Spain for many years before they switched, and eventually they decided to do that for the sake of their careers. Yeah, so it's I think it highlights one of the reasons why Nigerian athletics has declined over the last 10 to 15 years. You know, I tell people that Francis Obikwelu would have been our Usain Bolt. I think. You know, he went on to win a silver. For Portugal in the...
I think he won a silver, one of the other 200.
The Olympics.
And then the same Olympics won a bronze in one event.
Yeah, he won a silver in the 100 meters.
And a bronze
and then I think he was
200.
fourth in the 200. But amazing athlete. He's revered in Portugal. When we went, he's like because of Francis Obikwelu, black kids in Portugal started running because he won the only sprint medal in the Olympic history.
Apart from losing them, I mean, during the latter stages of their careers, when they could have probably given us something more, we've also lost them as potential coaches who can impact whatever little talents or skills they've got into the young ones in Nigeria. That's also something that we also need to watch out for.
I mean, this is a great point. You know, I've met them both.